Hey everyone, I am kw.transformation back again with another message. I am here to guide and encourage others to have a transformed perspective on this journey we call life. Let's get right into it. So I'm starting a new series called Movie Metaphor, where I'm going to take movies and relate it to consciousness, spirituality, life in general, and yeah, turn into a metaphor. I've discovered that as you go through awakening or just transformation or have greater awareness or transformed perspective, you view movies and TV and even listen to music differently. When you listen to songs, you hear something totally different than what you heard before transitioning, before coming to a realization, or just things happening in your life. This happens to a lot of people in their own timing, right? In their own journey. So in my journey, a big thing for me was going back and watching movies that I grew up on, or Marvel, Disney, all kinds of movies. And just getting a totally different message and even synchronicities through movies, TV, and music, right? So I just want to start this series and share these metaphors and parables and different things that I've connected and have really helped me on this journey. So yeah, I want to share that. So first movie is Ratatouille. If you haven't seen it, there's going to be spoiler alerts in this series, so go watch it if you haven't. It's an awesome movie. And yeah, the character Ego. So Ego is very, grumpy, rude. He's a critic, very perfectionist, and also alcoholic if you don't know this. These kids' movies get deep and they tell you a lot. He's a critic, so he's very judgmental and critical of food. Now, he loves food. He loves food because food is what he associated with love. His mama's cooking, and so he really enjoys food. So what I found with watching the movie and the character Ego is it's showing you exactly a reflection of ego in general. And we all have ego within us, right? The mind, the thoughts, the childhood trauma, different things we went through, baggage, fear, so on and so forth. So with his character, we get to see how Anton Ego develops over time and how his ego actually dissolves. And so when I was watching the movie, I'm like, man, this is how ego works. With our ego, it's a lot of pain and stuff from the past. Ego only can have a perspective of the past or things that it's seen and went through. And so regarding, when it's anything in regards to the future, it's going based off of what happened in the past. It really doesn't know. And it's moving out of lack, moving out of fear. So with this character, Anton, that's what he's doing. And so that's why he's very closed off to what restaurants he likes and what he approves of and what food he likes. Turns out he really only likes the food that hits home, that's like his mother's cooking. So he goes to Ratatouille. The restaurant, it wasn't called Ratatouille at the time, but he goes to the restaurant and you know how the movie goes, and he's just not feeling it. Everybody else is feeling it, but he was like, okay, I haven't tried it yet. So, he goes and tries the food. He takes a bite. Mind you, he's grumpy. He's just wanting wine and kind of going into it feeling like, okay, this is not gonna be it. I'm not gonna like the food, and we do that with our ego. We go into a job interview thinking, oh, like, what if I don't get the job? Scared, lacking worth, feeling like we need another person to validate us. And you can do this in jobs, you can do this in relationships, friendships, family, just in general about yourself and how you feel. That's the ego. It can either be putting yourself down or kind of being cocky, narcissistic, or overdoing it, like I'm it. And so in this movie, Anton is kind of very, up there as far as his confidence, feeling like he's the best, but he does it in a way that shows his lack and insecurity, right? He's very grumpy to himself, don't socialize much, alcoholic, and so he's kind of in this same cycle. So when he goes to the restaurant, he takes a bite of the food, and in the movie it goes to a flashback to when he comes in the kitchen from playing outside all dirty and rough. His mom makes this meal, and so it took him back to his childhood, to the love. And so when he takes a bite of food, it reminds him of love. It reminds him of who he is, and kind of gives him a different perspective of his childhood, because at first we only see the negative things, him being teased, or the poverty part, because he didn't have much growing up. And so that's kind of why he is the way he is, why the ego is the way it is, because it's not who he is, but it shows how his character developed. We see that at the end of the day, at the end of the film, it's pretty much all an illusion. He creates this narrative, this story of who he is based off of what he went through. Same thing with life. We create stories based off of the past, what we went through, hurt, pain, or things that haven't been healed within us. And we identify with those things as us. We identify as ego with who we are. And so in this film, his character does the same thing. And we get to see how, his character develops and these things transition, change, his perspective transforms. Wink, wink. And you can tell that this transformation is taking place in his identity and who he is, because he starts to lighten up and be joyful and just really just be free towards the end of the film, not even caring that the rats are the ones making the food, that the chef is a rat. He's just like, whatever, I'm eating it, it's good. And so his ego dissolves eventually in the end. And so that's just a prime example of ego. Literally, his name is Ego. And so it really, in this film, just kind of puts it in your face. And sometimes we can't see the things that are right in front of us in life, and also in films and music, and in these like subtle ways, because we haven't quite woken up to it, come to the realization of it, or really had that kind of rise in consciousness. So when you are going through a transformation, or awakening, there's many different names for it, when you are changing and evolving, and you have that awareness, a greater awareness, you can see these things subtly, whether it's on the clock, whether it's in movies, TV, music, friends, family around you, you start to gain greater awareness. And as you realize that, it only expands more. So yes, if you haven't seen Ratatouille, I just spoiled it, parts of it, but check it out. There's always little, tokens and things that will really spark a realization in you and really have you like, man, I never saw it that way. It will transform your perspective. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and continue to be you, continue to be blessed, and have a transformed perspective, okay? Yeah, check out Ratatouille, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.